Whoa, okay, recording in progress. Well, welcome back to another episode of My Hope is Built On podcast. Today's a special episode because, they're all special, but today we have my brother, Stephen Ziegler, with us. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks
It's
for having me, guys.
It's a trifecta, man. You got all three Ziegler men on the show.
Yeah. This guy just came down the hall and was like, knocked on my door and, hey, I know you live down the hall, a couple doors down. I just want to see if you want to do this podcast. I said, sure. It's great to be here. Glad.
Well, we're glad you're here too. Well, you've listened to a few of the episodes, and I, basically, how we kind of go with the flow and ask you a question of what is your hope built on? What does hope mean to you? But before we get into that, I just want to ask you, give the listeners a little bit about yourself. Give them a backstory of who is Stephen Ziegler. There's a lot about you for them to know. So
I guess there's a lot of information that doesn't carry very far, but that's okay. I'm Stephen Ziegler. I am just turned 22 last week, so that's cool. I currently work for something I cannot tell you, unfortunately, but I do work in the film industry, which is cool. I don't get to touch the cameras, but I get to file the papers for the people who pay for the cameras. That's pretty cool.
Can you say who it is you work for?
Well, you can say what studio you work at.
I work at Manhattan Beach Studios.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't tell you what company I work for.
Yeah.
But I've been working there since February. That's been really cool. And before that, I was working at CBS Studios in the mailroom. That was pretty rough through COVID just because there was zero pipeline opportunity, just because you're just manifesting in the mailroom, hoping for something to get better because you can't even enter a production office, which kind of sucked. So all through COVID, I was kind of working on music a lot, pretty heavy. I got into production a lot and mixing and sound engineering and stuff like that. Hopefully trying to find time to be able to put together a tangible piece for everybody to listen to. I just struggling a little bit with time right now. I'm constantly at work. So, but I guess that's kind of where my life is right now. I'm working a lot and I love music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you seeing anybody?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I keep forgetting that my life is a lot deeper.
It's not just surface level.
No, music. Yeah, and I forget that like the people who are on here also had a lot more deeper things behind it. But anyway, I have a girlfriend who unfortunately lives in Tennessee, but we're doing long distance and we're making it happen. And
right on.
I'd rather do this than not be with her at all. So I'm happy in that sense.
Well, at least you got it on record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, what do you mean exactly?
Yeah, well, so she actually has evidence that you actually said something that positive and nice.
Yeah, there you go.
Brownie points. That's what he's getting at.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess my life has been kind of funky since that shift, and it's really been a weird shift on my life, and I kind of want that to be a shift into talking about hope because I was thinking a lot about that on my drive home from work. So
well, since you talked about it, go ahead and make the shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good time to transition. So
yeah.
Well, before you go into what your hope is built on, why don't you go ahead and kind of answer the question of when you think of hope, what does that mean to you?
I was trying to think about that as well on the way home and kind of using that word in context and seeing when I think of hope, I instantly think of Star Wars,
Yeah.
because of Leia and like always the ongoing motif of hope. And in that context, it's hope to restore and wanting and yearning a restoration of something new and a revival of getting past the crap and getting over that hump and just having that peace.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes in a sense of that can speak volumes for anything, but that's just a tiny word used in a sci-fi series, you know, and how hope can be put into anybody's context. And right now in my life, the way I would define hope is a yearn and a want for a greater restoration, just like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically where I'd say hope. That's the way I define hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to look at it. That's the one thing that's cool about this podcast, and everybody has a different answer,
Yeah.
and everybody views it differently in the sense of like has a different roundabout way to get to their definition of what hope means to them. So that's really cool. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen, what is your hope built on?
Well, I guess long story short, at this point in my life, I don't really have hope built on anything because I don't have much to hope for.
What do
And
you
I
mean by
think
that? Keep going.
I think what I mean by that is like I'm very I'm content with a lot through little things, like by saying hi to dad in the morning or saying what's up to mom in the morning. Like that
Yeah.
is a little kick in the butt for my 1 hour drive stuck in traffic on the 405.
Yeah.
And those little things, and it's like those little things give me contentness, but overall it still feels a little broken and there's no hope because it feels so fuzzy. Everything in front of like what I want feels pretty fuzzy. Sorry, that seems really confusing. Basically, like when I want to hope for greater restoration in my life,
Yeah.
I struggle to even find hope in anything. It just because it's so like fuzzy, I can't even see anything. COVID has screwed that up for me. I can't see because of masks. Like I'm like, is this thing ever gonna stop? Are we gonna ever stop wearing masks? Are we gonna ever stop doing this? Am I ever gonna be back with my girlfriend again? How is she gonna come back to me? How are we gonna ever figure this out? All these little things, or no, not little, huge things that like really blur out anything in the future causes me to like fall short of hope in general and not really have anything to build hope on and kind of just cruise by on life. I feel like that's just kind of how I've felt. And I feel like, I didn't want to sugarcoat anything and act like I do have a strong hope built on anything strong. I
Yeah.
do have Christ in my life who I'm so on and off with him. We pick up the phone and talk, not as often as I'd like, but the amazing thing about him is that when I start to really get like that fuzziness,
Yeah.
that's when I really like start to hear him the most without even asking. It's just kind of like something random. If I'm driving and the fuzziness starts to hit, then a ray of light will peek through a cloud and it's like, okay, God, Christ is here. And I think that's that's an amazing thing. So I'm so thankful to have some decent like crutch on me.
Yeah.
But I'm just as broken as anybody else, and I don't have I don't have the strength to have a lot of hope sometimes. So
Sure. Well, thanks for sharing that.
yeah.
What's funny is that brokenness is a universal problem. So you're not unique in that sense of the imagination. We're all broken people in some way, shape, or form. Um, I think a lot more of us, maybe, especially those who have found their hope in Christ, have been probably gone through the restoration process a little bit deeper, but it's a daily process, you know, for us. And so everybody's at various stages in their life in terms of the depth of their hope, or the groundedness, if you will, of their hope in Christ. And so don't ever take it as a discouragement that you're not where you're at. Just look at it as though you're a work in process. And as a work in process, God is still working in your life to get you to where you need to be so that you can be firm in that knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that's one thing I would definitely encourage you, because brokenness that's a reality. We're all broken. I mean, this world is broken that we live in. It doesn't take a genius to look outside and say that this world is broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in a broken world, and COVID highlighted it and magnified it and put everything on the spotlight. You didn't need a microscope lens now to really do the assessment. It was right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now we see it in all of its ugliness. And as we see it manifested in the lives of people who have been impacted by it, because you see all the ugliness of humanity right now in terms of our hatred and our lack of unity and things of that nature. So again, it's just where we're at in terms of the cycle. So I'm thankful, like David said, for your transparency and all this. What I love about this is that Stephen is honest with all of us, and 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 people know who I am, people know who David is, and so you get to see that all three of us, we're different in terms of where we're at in our life, in terms of our walk with the Lord, in terms of our relationship with Christ, and where we're at with things. And so thank you for being transparent. You didn't have to walk into this and pretend to be David or I. You're still Stephen.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Well, Stephen, talk to me about a situation in your life. Maybe tell us a situation where you saw hope. Maybe it was a difficult situation that you were going through, and in a time in your life, and how you were able to get through it. How did you find your hope through that situation?
I guess there's been a lot of crap that we've gone through as a family, but like me personally, I'd say just friends have always been like a weird thing for me to struggle with, because I've always had girlfriends, and that prohibited me from having good guy friends. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit that I started really hanging out with my bros, and like I was going through a lot at that very moment when the pandemic hit, because I was starting to struggle a lot with anxiety, and like it was bad. I wasn't really understanding how to cope with feeling like I was dying while I'm driving, literally feeling like I'm having a heart attack, calling my dad to be like, yo, you've had a heart attack. How does it feel? That's a pretty intense feeling for somebody who's always been so like, I don't understand that kind of stuff. I've never been able to get mental health on the level I did until I felt that. And it really ate at me for a while, and kind of like changed everything. And I also kind of realized how mental health affects your physical health a lot. I lost a ton of weight at the beginning of COVID just because I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat because I just didn't feel like it, or I was insecure. There's so many like little mental demons that were sitting inside of my head, that brought me to a really dark place. But I did find myself winding up in prayer and really like looking to Christ for, okay, what's something that I haven't really had, but will bring me closer to being a man and being a man of God. And I just felt that there was a lot of changes in my life that needed to happen. And fortunately, those changes happened right when the pandemic hit. And yeah, I was able to hang out with my friends more. And so I started hanging out with my friends more. And Mikey Burson, Robert Miller, Nico Marino, you guys are the best people in the entire world. They were just like my dudes. Gosh, why am I so this is me. This is Stephen, the emotional one. This is Dan and David. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they brought me to a different knowledge in so many different places in my life. With Rob and Mikey, music. We created a ton of music over quarantine, and like that was a really incredible thing, because I wanted the time to devote to music, or time to devote to art, because that's all I ever want to do. And God bless, because God blessed me with quarantine, where I was able to pay my bills, because CBS payroll really loved us and they kept paying us. And I didn't have to go to work. So I had everything I wanted for the first few months of quarantine. And God just kind of really gave me that. And God gave me the opportunity to do amazing and different abundant things that I haven't done. And when I mean abundant, I mean like fulfilling things, stuff that actually fulfilled me, and led me to my girlfriend, and led me to finally seeing love in a different way, and seeing love not only in a relationship with my girlfriend, but love with my mom, and with my dad, and with my sister, and with my brother, and my friends, and just seeing love in so many different ways. So I think God really came and like took that mental cloud that was over my head, and slowly peeled it off. I mean, I still struggle, because I'm human, and I don't think that it's ever gonna just go away like that. And I think we as individuals have to work on trying to fix it ourselves, and we can't expect anybody to fix it for us. So we can't sit and mope in it, do something about it. And I guess that's kind of where my hope was built on, was in Christ, for the difference of life. And that was a huge difference for me, because I was the dude who was working at Starbucks at 3 a.m. till 12, taking a nap, hanging out with his girlfriend every day for like 3 years. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And yeah, this time led me to an amazing path. And so I'm super happy with where my hope was built on in that time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Good. You know, this is not a therapy show, so we're not going to go into therapy with you. This is, but
Or we licensed to give.
Yeah. But you brought up something that was really good, because mental health has probably been one of the biggest effects of COVID, right? People really have battled with it significantly, and in a lot of different ways. And so it obviously, it's clearly it was an issue for everybody. But you said something that was interesting to me, and that is that you kind of knew that you had to do something though to get to move yourself beyond where you were at, so that you can break through and get to the other side. When especially as it related to anxiety and things of that nature. And you said something about your health being related to it. I said one of the things I've done a lot of studying on neurosciences and neuroencoding and the effects of the brain and how the brain actually does, how we can actually even change our physical health if we really start to make some mental changes in our brain and really rewrite the code, because it is like a computer in there, and help rewrite the code. The Bible even tells us there's a certain passage in there that talks about that you renew your thoughts. You need to renew your mind by putting on the thoughts of Christ, right? And that's how you change the encoding inside of that in your brain. And so, again, those are things that I think it's good, because you're being transparent right now that a lot of people are going through these things, Stephen.
Yeah.
And so again, I am thankful for your honesty. Thank you for your transparency with this whole thing and your vulnerability. And so I appreciate that, in that you're saying all that. And David, I know you look like you were going to say something, so I didn't want to
No, I mean, I really appreciate your honesty and just being so transparent with us about where you're exactly at. And I do think that, and obviously, as you know, you're not the only one going through all of that. Like those feelings, there's probably somebody listening to it that's feeling the same way. So it's good that you're open, and kind of something we talked with Lenny, our guest on the last episode, is like, it's important to be open about the things that you've gone through. It's important to be open about how you felt during those times, and also what kind of got you through it, because there really are people that are going through it. So it's important to talk about it. It's important to be open and be honest about it, because you don't know how much of an impact of your words are on other people, in a good way.
Yeah.
Like what that lasting impact could be.
Yeah.
Because it could be like, oh man, I've been through something similar. Like I can somewhat understand, not fully understand of what you're feeling, and that alone to somebody could probably mean the world.
Yeah.
It's good that I appreciate your transparency and just being so open on the show, and with everyone. It's important to be real, because I do believe that there's a lot of people that are out there that try to cover it up and not be honest with themselves and not be honest with others about how they actually are feeling.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think just being super open and transparent about, open to an extent,
Yeah.
I think a huge thing also is gauging before you even like take a step on telling anybody how you feel or expressing your feelings. Gauge whether it's worth expressing those feelings to that person.
Yeah.
2, don't express them with the emotions that you are feeling. And because I think communication about feelings starts off kind of one-sided, and how that person is saying it needs to be retrieved well, and that kind of stuff needs to happen well. So
Sure.
Feelings are very important, and they should be said well.
Yeah. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah, you think about it today, if we would really just take what we're learning right now from a hope and applying what we're even saying right now, you could create such hopeful situations in your workplace environments, in your homes, if we would just begin to be more open and honest in our communication at home. Because what's happening is people aren't really listening to what the other person is saying today. If you really think about all the things that we're seeing, nobody's really stopping to listen to what the other person is saying. Instead, we're wanting to apply maybe a diagnosis to it already, or we're wanting to give them the advice that they need, or or tell them to get over themselves, or whatever it might be, right? but what really somebody needs to feel more hope in their life is just somebody that's going to sit there and listen to them while they're spilling their guts, right?
Yeah.
And then as they're spilling their guts, don't have that gaping wide open mouth that's going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just told me all this. It's to come alongside them with that empathetic heart, which says, you know what, I don't know what you're going through and I don't understand what you're actually telling me, but I want to hear more about it. And I want, and man, I'll tell you, that could bring such hope to somebody. Just that right there, somebody listening to me. You know? And I think that's what you were saying is you found hope in your friends because you had some buddies that were willing to just listen to you while you were going through what you're going through.
Yeah. I don't understand. We're like weird on an emotional level. It's amazing. It's amazing how like, and that's also a thing for men too, is like, I feel like men are very weird about sharing feelings, but also as brothers in Christ, I think that's one thing guys need to do more is cut it with the I'm a man crap. We all have feelings. We all have the devil who sits on our left shoulder. And so we're not the only ones who can flick it off. And it's super important to carry that over to other people because you alone are a speck of dust on this little planet, and you can't do much without a stronger guide or pretty much that.
And no, you're spot on. And again, I want to carry that forward even just one step further. And that is not only men, but fathers. Fathers don't have to be this manly figure per se to your kids. Your kids need you to be their dad. And a dad is got to have the capacity to really listen and to help their kids go through whatever they're going through, right? And I know that as a father for myself, sometimes my knee-jerk response is I know the answer because I got all of the Bible answers down packed, right? And I can answer them, but I don't expect you guys to know those things. And so my expectation is that is not of you, but of me, is to listen and hear what you're saying so that I can understand it better, so that I could be a better father to you guys, so that you can grow up to be better people and become better men as a result of it. And I'm with you. Men need to be open about things and more transparent and more vulnerable in a lot of ways. It would save a lot of marriages. It would save it would grow healthier families. And so I think it's significant and I think it's very important.
Yep.
Definitely.
So, well, I think this has been a good dialogue. One of the things I love about this show is it's not scripted. So, and as a result of being unscripted, it kind of goes on its own path, right? And I like that because it's. I think no matter what, we still ultimately pulled it right to where it is. Again, it's an understanding of hope. How do we get there? And I think sometimes we're on a pathway just to even discover what that is. And so. Again, our phone numbers are listed on this show every week. If you've heard something today that's just spoke to you, please reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to talk to you. And if I'm close to Stephen, I'll put him on the phone for you.
Yeah, I won't give you guys my number.
So, David, do you want to close us out tonight?
Well, thank you again, Stephen. I appreciate you being on here. It's been fun. Being able to talk, just the three of us, is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. So appreciate it. Thank you to everyone listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, review, leave the stars. That would be awesome. It helps us out and helps get the word out. Thanks, Steven.
All right, dude.
Thanks a lot.
Love you, Dave.
All right. Love you.
See ya.
See ya.